You think you're afraid of failure, but deep down it's success that terrifies you. Not because you don't want it, but because of what it demands. Success asks you to stop hiding. It challenges your comfort, stretches your identity, and forces you to confront every lie you've believed about yourself. You fear that stepping into your full potential will cost you love, belonging, or even yourself. That being too visible, too powerful, too much will make people leave, or worse, reveal that you never deserved it in the first place. So you self-sabotage. You delay, you downplay, you distract, but deep down, you know you're made for more. This fear isn't weakness, it's a signal, not of limitation, but of transformation. And if you dare to face it, everything could change. The version of you that survived isn't always the version of you that thrives. The identity you built to make it through pain, rejection, or invisibility was intelligent. It kept you safe. You learned to be agreeable, humble, self-effacing, or maybe quiet, unseen, untouchable. You became what the world responded to, what your family needed, what your environment rewarded. And for a while, that worked. But now that same identity is suffocating you. Success doesn't happen by clinging to safety. It demands growth, visibility, and self-honesty. The dreams you say you want, they require a new version of you, not fake or performative, but the truer, bolder one underneath the mask you've worn. That means letting go of the person who never ruffled feathers, who never asked for more, who kept their light dimmed so others wouldn't feel threatened. You fear success because you instinctively know it will cost you that much. You're afraid to lose the identity that kept you safe, even though you've outgrown it. There's grief in that. Shedding an old identity feels like betrayal, even when it's necessary. You may feel guilt for no longer fitting in, for choosing different values than your family, for speaking louder than your culture taught you was acceptable. But staying small to maintain belonging will quietly erode your spirit. If you keep trying to succeed while remaining who you were, you'll stall, sabotage, or suffer, because your current identity wasn't built for expansion, it was built for survival. When you start breaking patterns, you'll feel resistance. You'll hear an inner voice say, "This isn't you," or "You're being arrogant," or "Who do you think you are?" That voice isn't the voice of truth. It's the voice of your past roles, your fears, your conditioning, and it speaks up when you're on the edge of change, not because you're wrong, but because you're growing. The part of you that learned how to stay safe is simply scared to be rewritten. But here's the truth. That identity didn't come from your soul. It came from your survival. And you don't owe your loyalty to who you had to be. You owe it to who you're becoming. You can thank your past self for keeping you alive and still choose not to let them lead anymore. Growth isn't betrayal. It's the most respectful thing you can do for the version of you that never had the chance to flourish. Stepping into success means allowing the world to see you without the armor. That doesn't mean being careless or reckless. It means being real. It means trusting that your worth isn't tied to how invisible you can be. It means knowing that just because you were once rewarded for playing small, doesn't mean that's where your value lies. You are not meant to live hidden under roles that make everyone comfortable but leave you starving inside. This isn't about arrogance, it's about honesty. Do you want the life you keep dreaming of? Then stop asking permission to evolve. Stop negotiating your desires down to fit someone else's comfort zone. Stop making your past identity the gatekeeper of your future. You are not here to just repeat old patterns in prettier packaging. You are here to outgrow them, to shed what's outdated, and to step into what your soul already knows is possible. So if you're afraid of success, good. That means you're getting close to a threshold. The fear is just a signal, not to turn back, but to walk forward with awareness. Let yourself grieve the old roles. Let yourself feel the tension between comfort and expansion, but don't let fear convince you to shrink. Success will never feel safe to the part of you that was taught to disappear. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't chase it. It means you finally must. Wanting to be seen and fearing being seen, that's the paradox most people live in. Deep down, you crave recognition. You want your truth to matter, your voice to be heard, your presence to be felt. But the moment you step into that light, your nervous system panics. Visibility makes you vulnerable. It exposes not just your strengths, but your flaws, your history, your wounds. And if you grew up being criticized, rejected, or ridiculed for who you were, standing in full view doesn't feel empowering, it feels dangerous. You learned early on that being noticed came with consequences. Maybe your emotions were too much. Maybe your creativity was mocked, your confidence shamed, your uniqueness misunderstood. So you adapted, you dimmed your light, you kept quiet, you made yourself easy to digest, you wore humility like armor, thinking invisibility was safer than authenticity. And now, as you reach for more purpose, more truth, more fulfillment, that old wiring kicks in. Don't get too big, don't draw too much attention, don't be too real, because somewhere inside, You still associate visibility with pain. This fear often masquerades as self-doubt. I'm not ready yet. I need to be more polished. What if I fail in front of everyone? But these aren't logistical concerns. They're emotional defenses. You're not afraid of failure, you're afraid of being seen failing. You're not afraid of imperfection. You're afraid of being judged for it. That's the real weight. It's not the goal that overwhelms you. It's the possibility that someone will watch you reach for it and criticize you while you do. And the cruel twist, you might even reject yourself before others get the chance. You silence your ideas, downplay your vision, second-guess your worth, not because it's the truth, but because you want to beat them to the punch. If you reject yourself first, maybe it won't hurt as much when someone else does. That's how deep this fear runs. It's not rational, it's primal, and it's wired into every decision you make that keeps you small. But here's the truth. Judgment is unavoidable. Someone, somewhere, will misunderstand you. They will project their pain onto your courage. They will mock what they don't understand, criticize what they secretly envy, and dismiss what threatens their comfort. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of their wounds. And if you wait for a world without judgment to finally show yourself, you'll wait your whole life and die unseen. Healing this fear doesn't mean pretending it doesn't exist. It means moving forward anyway. It means learning to hold the judgment of others without internalizing it. It means showing up, knowing someone will misunderstand you and doing it anyway, because your truth matters more than their opinion. It means standing in your light even while your knees shake. You don't need everyone to approve of you. You just need to stop betraying yourself to avoid their disapproval. When you silence yourself to avoid rejection, you reject yourself, and that's the most painful form of abandonment, the kind you do to yourself in advance. The people you admire, the ones who inspire you, they were afraid too, but they chose expression over suppression. They accepted the price of visibility because the cost of staying hidden was higher. They weren't perfect. They were just brave enough to be seen in their becoming. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be honest. The fear of judgment doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're alive. It means your truth is raw, real, and worth protecting. But protection doesn't mean hiding. It means anchoring so deeply into your self-worth that you can stand in the light without crumbling under the gaze. So let the fear be there. Let the doubt whisper. But don't let either make your decisions. You were not put on this earth to live a muted life. You were not born to contort yourself into who the world finds most agreeable. You are here to be seen not by everyone, but by the right ones, and you'll never find them if you keep hiding from yourself. Your healing begins the moment you allow yourself to be visible, flawed, whole, unfinished, but real. Because it's not perfection the world needs. It's your presence. Most people don't sabotage their progress because they're lazy. They do it because a part of them doesn't feel safe with what success might bring. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, that you need more clarity, more motivation, more readiness. But underneath all of that, there's a quiet fear. What if I actually change? Because with real change comes unfamiliar territory, new identity, new expectations, new exposure. And if you've survived by staying small, staying stuck starts to feel safer than succeeding. Sabotage is not a character flaw. It's a defense mechanism. It's how your nervous system protects you from perceived danger, even if that danger is something you logically want, like happiness, connection, or fulfillment. If you grew up in chaos, peace feels foreign. If you were conditioned to earn love through performance, ease feels suspicious. If you've always been the underdog, winning feels wrong. So you unconsciously create just enough struggle to stay in familiar emotional territory. You miss the deadline. You procrastinate the call. You pick fights before things go well. And every time you tell yourself you're just being lazy or undisciplined. But it's not about discipline. It's about safety. When your mind associates success with loss of comfort, of relationships, of identity, sabotage becomes a way to control the fallout. You delay growth to avoid grief. You quit before it gets good to avoid being let down later. You dim your light, so no one expects more than you feel ready to give. And all of this happens beneath the surface, so skillfully that you might not even notice. It looks like being tired. It looks like overthinking. It looks like burnout. But what it really is protection. The truth is your system would rather keep you small and safe than expanded and vulnerable. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about survival. So when you move toward anything that challenges the old identity you built to stay accepted, the perfectionist, the caretaker, the silent one, your nervous system throws up resistance. It says stop, this is unsafe. And suddenly scrolling for 2 hours feels easier than writing the first page. Staying in the wrong job feels more responsible than risking something new. Playing dumb feels safer than being powerful. That's not laziness. That's a wound. Healing sabotage starts with compassion, not condemnation. The part of you that's holding you back is also the part that once kept you alive. It deserves to be heard, not punished. Instead of pushing through with shame, try listening. Ask yourself, what am I afraid might happen if I succeed? Who might I lose? What might I have to feel? The answers won't always be obvious, but they'll be honest. And once you see the fear, you can begin to move through it. Not by pretending it's not there, but by proving to yourself that you can handle what comes. Because the truth is, you're not that fragile anymore. You can survive visibility. You can survive disappointing people. You can survive being different from who they expected. You're not the same child who had to suppress their joy to feel loved. You're not the same teenager who had to fail on purpose to stay accepted. You're not the same version of you who needed to shrink to feel safe. Sabotage only has power when you mistake it for your identity. When you believe the thoughts that say you're not ready, you're not good enough, you'll mess it up. But these aren't truths. They're echoes of old pain, old conditioning, old protection, and you have the power to respond differently now. So when you catch yourself pulling away from what you want, don't just try to push harder. Get curious. What are you protecting yourself from? Whose voice are you afraid to hear? What belief are you unconsciously honoring? Then gently remind yourself, success is not betrayal. Joy is not selfish. Growth is not abandonment. You are allowed to become more than what your past prepared you for. You don't need to be fearless. Just willing to sit with discomfort. Willing to move, even with doubt. Willing to believe that safety can come from expansion, not just protection. Because you were never lazy. You were guarding something sacred. And now you're ready to guide that part of you home. Real success doesn't ask you to hustle harder. It doesn't ask you to perform, please, or prove. It asks you to shed, to let go of the identity you clung to for survival. And that's terrifying, because for so long being the reliable one, the humble one, the quiet one, the overachiever, that's what kept you safe. It's what made people love you. It's what made you feel like you belonged. But at some point, those roles became cages. They stopped reflecting who you are and started suffocating the truth of you. And now, the version of you that once protected your spirit is standing in the way of your freedom. You can't become your future while dragging the weight of your past self. You can't expand into your potential while clinging to identities rooted in fear. Real success, the kind that actually nourishes you, not just impresses others, asks for truth, not performance. It asks you to stop being what the world rewarded and start becoming what your soul longs to express. That means letting go of the perfectionist who needed control to feel worthy. Letting go of the caretaker who sacrificed herself to feel needed. Letting go of the silent one who kept the peace by swallowing her voice. These roles were never your identity. They were your armor. And the moment you realize that, you gain the power to lay them down. But here's the catch. Letting go doesn't happen in a neat one-time decision. It's messy. It's grieving.